This is level L, list 3, and we're doing the day 1 page, and you can see in all of these words we're using the EY. Now, it's not very common to use EY for the long E sound at the end of a word. These are the 10 most common words that you will find that that you will use in your lifetime that end in EY. There are only a few more, and the other ones we didn't bother including because you're very rarely going to use them. So these ones that we do have are key, donkey, monkey, turkey, honey, money, alley, valley, trolley and journey. You can colour in the EY at the end of all of those. It's very important that you remember these 10 words end in an EY, and then all the other ones that end in an E sound you're going to use Y for, and there are thousands of them. So remembering these 10 will be the important part, and then you know all the others just add a Y. You don't need to remember the other thousands of ones. Okay, so we know to use a K before an E because we can see a K hidden inside an E. That's our little trick. So we use a K before an E or an I or a Y for the curt sound. So that's why we've got the K there. If we had a C there, it would say S. The E would force it to make it soft sound, so it would be C. So we don't want that. Okay, so you've got donkey. Once again, you've got the K there for the because you've got an E after it. It's forcing the K to make the curt sound in those. Now, donkey, monkey are both animals. You can see here. But monkey, you've got, because there's so many up and down letters either side of that up sound, that's why the monks decided to change the U to an O in this word. Because if I were writing it in a cursive script, I'll just show you above it, because I used to write in much fancier writing than me, but if they were writing it, it's actually really hard to write the word with all those up and down strokes, and it was really hard for people to read those words with the U in there for the up sound. So they decided to change the U to an O to make it easier for people to read and easier for them to write. Because of course in those days, 1500 years ago, when they were writing these words in books, they didn't have printers or photocopiers, so they had to handwrite the books out, and it would take 6 months, a whole year, to write out one book. So people would pay a lot of money for a book. If they made a mistake anywhere on the page, they'd have to throw that page in the bin and start the whole process again. So it was pretty important that they made it easier for themselves in writing these words with all those up and down strokes, and using a quill would make it even harder. So if you have a look at, so that's why we've got the O for the up sound in monkey. It sort of follows on nicely from donkey though. You've got the UR for the sound in turkey, and we've got a K after the because that's a long vowel sound. We always use just a K after a long vowel sound. Honey, you've also got that lazy monk problem happening where the monks didn't want to make more paper, write the page out again, so they changed that U to an O in the word honey. So you can see that's quite difficult to read, and I found it very difficult to write. Same as in money. E, really hard to write, really difficult to read, and that's why we're using that O for the up sound in those words. Okay, so we know a monkey is a type of animal. A donkey looks a little bit like a horse. A key is something that you would use to open a door. You can also use a key when you're doing mapping, and you can show different symbols by having the symbols related to something in the drawing, so you don't have to draw like lots of mountains. You just have a code in your key to show where the mountains are, etc. Donkeys are quite often used by farmers or travellers to carry things. They're not as big as a horse, they've got longer ears, and they're very sturdy animals. A turkey is a domesticated bird. It's a fowl. People will keep turkeys to quite often kill them to sell or to eat themselves. We quite often eat turkey at special celebrations such as at Christmas time, and a lot of people like eating turkey today because it's quite a healthy meat because it has less fat in it, I think. So turkeys, you don't see a lot of them around. They're generally used as farmed for their meat. Honey is a nice sweet liquid that when bees gather the pollen from the flowers and take it back to their hive, they turn it into honey, and they have to work very hard to make a whole jar of honey for us. Money is the currency that we use to buy and sell things with. So we use dollars and cents. Other countries might use different forms of money. An alley is like a little road between two buildings. Often it's not wide enough to take a vehicle down, or if a vehicle did go down, it would be very tight fit. They'd have to drive quite slowly. So quite often it becomes more an area that you would walk down, but it's usually between two big buildings or several big buildings, and sometimes in movies alleys are always quite creepy. A valley is the lowest point between hills or mountains, and at the bottom of those you quite often find a river or townships and that, because the soil is quite rich and fertile. A trolley, probably the most common form of a trolley that you would know, is a shopping trolley, and that's where you put all your things in the trolley, and then you can even have a special trolley that you can pull the trolley home with your goods in it, so you don't have to take this huge thing home with you. So trolleys could be lots of different forms. Some kids might have a hill trolley that they can race down hills. There's different forms of it, but it's basically something on wheels that's movable. Journey is when you take a trip somewhere. A journey usually implies that it's going to be a long trip. You're going to take a journey, perhaps. It might be a hiking trip or something like that. Okay, let's read the words, sound the words, spell the words, and write them. So we've got key, k-e, 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 k-e-y, k-e-y, k-e-y. And you cover it and write it 3 times. Then at the end, you go back and check that you've correctly spelt it. Now these ones that have more than one syllables, you're probably best to sound them in their syllables, like donkey, honey, etc., alley, valley, but you can do that. So read them, sound them, spell them, write them 3 times, and make sure you check to ensure that they're correct. This is level L, list 3, and we're doing the day 2, and our words are key, donkey, monkey, turkey, honey, money, alley, valley, trolley, journey. And you can see all these words end in EY. Now what we've done is we've given you the most common words that end in EY. There are only about 10 of them. Usually if a word ends in an E sound, we just use a Y. So if you can remember these 10 words end in EY, and then the other thousands end with just a Y. There are some others, a few others that end in EY, but they're not words that you typically use much. Okay, so let's have a look, after we've highlighted the EY in these words, let's have a look at some of the other things that we have to cover in these words. So we've got key, so we know that we use an K before an E for the K sound, so you could say that there is a K hidden inside an E, but you know that we use a K for the K sound if it's followed by an E, an I, or a Y. So that might help you there, which we've got in these words as well. Now donkey, e is quite an easy one. Just remember on that NK in these two that it's only NK, there's not a C in the middle. Sometimes we see children trying to go NCK, no, it's just NK. You need two consonants after that short vowel sound. Now turkey, this is a tricky one, that UR. It's a bit hard to know whether to write UR or IR in a word, so try and remember that turkey is one of those words where we're using UR for the sound. So we could have as in ER, IR or UR. If you're not sure which one when you're writing a story or whatever, just try and scrap a bit of paper. You'd know it probably wouldn't be this one because that's usually at the end of a word. So it's usually one of these two. So just try writing it and hopefully over time you'll quickly be able to just know that it's a UR in turkey. Honey, honey. This is a lazy monk word, which when they used to write books out by hand with a quill and they were writing honey with a U for the sound, it made it very difficult for them to write with a quill with all those up and down strokes, and it also made it very difficult for people to read the words with all those up and down strokes, so that the monks decided to change the sound into the letter, using the letter O to represent it, so that it was easier for people to read and easier for them to write, especially words. I'll just write money here. You can see it's much easier to write with an O in it than it would be with a U in there. Now alley, you've got a short at sound here, that's why you've got the double L after it, and that applies also to valley, the E, and trolley, you've got a short ot sound, that's why you've got the double letter. Now this OUR in journey is hard, but it's the same as we see in other words, but there's not a lot of words where we use OUR. Just really going to have to work on memorising that one. So if we're sounding these words, we just go K-E, K-E-Y, and then we cover it before we write it on the line. You don't have to write all this scribble that I've put on there, just make sure you've highlighted those important bits within those words. Down here you have to write the list word to match the picture. So this is all about their meanings. That's quite easy for you to do, referring to those words up there. Then down here we've given you a crossword with a difference today. So some of them you'll get a clue for. So write in the word or the clue to match the crossword. So number 3 across is a small back street, would be an alley. Now then number 8, we haven't given you the clue. We've given you the word. So 8 across, the word is key. So you have to write the meaning in there for the word key. The same for 9 and 10 and 4, 5 and 7. So we've only given you some of the meanings where you write the words. Where we've given you the words, you have to write the meanings. This is level L, list 3, and we're doing the day 3 page, and our words are key, donkey, monkey, turkey, honey, money, alley, valley, trolley, and journey. There aren't a lot of words that end in EY, so we've picked out the most common ones for you to learn and remember, because most of the time when you hear a long E sound at the end of a word, it's just a Y. So you have to colour in the EY in all of these to hopefully help you remember to use the EY on the end of these words. So we know the other things we've got in here, we know that we use a K for the K sound before an E, so that's why we've got a K in each of those. You've also got the NK here, so remember on these ones there's no C between the N and the K, it's just NK. Here you've got the UR. Now in monkey, honey and money, these are lazy monk words where the monks changed the U for the sound into an O to make it easier for them to write the words, to make it easier for people to read the words. The other things we've got in these words is we've got a short vowel sound before the double consonant, short vowel sound, double consonant, short vowel sound, double consonant. This O-U-R in journey for the sound is not very common. So you'll really have to think hard when you're writing that one to put the O-U-R into it. So let's read the words, sound the words, spell the words and write them. We've got key, K-E, K-E-Y. So cover it and write it. And you can do the rest of those on your own. Now, singular and plural nouns. So if you only have one, we call it singular. If you have one trolley, you say trolley. If you have more than one, we have trolleys. Now, because there is an E, a vowel before the Y, we're not changing the Y to an I and adding ES. We're just adding the S. So you're going to leave the base word as it is and just write the S on the end of those, because the vowel before the Y protects it. It's not going to let you change the Y to an I. Down here you've got proofreading. You have to circle the correct spelling and then write the word correctly on the end line. Combine with the list word, a something hole, something way, a something ring, a something bee, a shopping something and a something box. So you're going to use these words up here to finish off these word pairs down here. Finish with the list word in plural form. So let's have a look. A herd of something, a gang of, a bundle of, a troop of, a bunch of, and a comb of. You might have to do a bit of research within your group or discussion within your group to work out the best word for each of those plural forms. Crack the code. The joke is, what type of key opens a door? And to work out what the answer is, you're going to have to use these symbols, look them up, that's your key, to work out what each symbol means, and then write the letter above each symbol to work out the answer. This is level L, list 3, and we're doing the day 4 page, and we're talking about determiners today. So these are demonstrative determiners, and to know when to use this, these, that, or those, you have to think about these things. If something is near us, we use this. If some things are near us, we use these. If something is not near us, we use that. And if some things are not near us, we use those. So you might want to get a highlighter just to remind you that this is some things. That one is just something. Something, something. So if it's near us, not near us, not near us. So that might help you work them out. So if you look down here, you can see one person, and the things are not near us. So if it's not near us and it's more than one thing, if some things are not near us, we use those. So you'd have to write in those. And what are those things? They're sleighs. So the nouns that you're going to use are words that you've already learnt to spell. So you can fill in the other 3 on your own. Then down here we've got possessive determiners. So these are used to indicate the owner of the noun, the owner of the thing. So we could use words such as your, our, my, his, her, its, or their. So choose a correct possessive determiner. So we put them down here for you to choose from. Would it be our or mine? My. So let's see, my balloons. No, it can't because there's 2 people there, so it must be our balloon. So you could go through and highlight the correct word for each one, if you like, and then go back and write the word in. So our balloons would put in there. You can work out the rest on your own.